Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, in complete silence, with a heaviness in your chest that you simply could not explain? Not because something terrible had just happened, but because something deep inside you, something quiet and ancient, was aching. Maybe you lay there staring at the ceiling, running through the same thoughts again and again, wondering why your life feels like it is moving in circles. Why, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you sacrifice, there is always this invisible wall standing between you and the peace you are searching for. Perhaps you have done everything right. You worked hard. You were kind to people. You prayed. You hoped. And yet there are mornings when you wake up and the weight is still there, this unspoken feeling that something is missing. Not something you can buy. Not something anyone can give you. Something that belongs to the very core of who you are, and somehow, somewhere along the way, you lost touch with it. You are not broken. You are not being punished. And you are certainly not alone. Millions of souls across this world carry this same quiet longing, this same silent question that has no easy answer. But today, that changes. Because what you are about to hear is not just information. It is not just philosophy. It is a doorway, a sacred, ancient doorway, that has transformed the lives of countless seekers throughout human history. Today, we are going to explore 5 powerful mantras rooted in the timeless spiritual wisdom of one of the greatest teachers the world has ever known, Paramahansa Yogananda. These are not just words. They are keys. And one of them may open the door your soul has been waiting for all along. Have you ever looked around at your life and felt a strange sense of disconnection, as though you are watching yourself from a distance, going through the motions, but not truly living? You wake up, you fulfill your responsibilities, you smile when the world expects you to smile. But behind that smile, there is a quiet heaviness. A feeling that this life, as it is right now, is somehow not the life your soul came here to live. There was a man, let us call him Arjun. From the outside, Arjun had everything a person could want. A steady job, a loving family, a comfortable home. People around him would say, with genuine admiration, that he was doing well. And he would nod and thank them. But at night, when the house grew quiet and the world stopped demanding his attention, Arjun would sit alone and feel something he could not name. A hollow space somewhere inside his chest. A silence that was not peaceful, but empty. He tried to fill it. He worked longer hours. He bought things he did not need. He stayed busy so he would not have to feel it. But no matter what he did, the feeling always returned. And slowly, it began to frighten him. Not because his life was falling apart, but because it was not, and he still felt lost. This is the hidden problem that so many people carry. It is not poverty. It is not failure. It is the quiet crisis of a soul that has forgotten its own depth. It is what happens when we spend years building a life on the outside and neglect the vast, luminous world that lives within us. And until we address that inner world, no outer achievement will ever feel like enough. From the very first breath we take in this world, life begins to shape us. Our parents give us a name. Our culture gives us beliefs. Our experiences leave marks on us, some beautiful, some painful, and layer by layer, we build an identity. We learn what is safe and what is dangerous. We learn what earns love and what earns rejection. We learn who we are supposed to be. And in that long, gradual process of becoming who the world wants us to be, we slowly, quietly, forget who we actually are. Paramahansa Yogananda spoke with great tenderness about this forgetting. He taught that the human soul, in its truest nature, is not small or limited or afraid. It is luminous. It is vast. It is a direct expression of the divine itself. But when we are born into this world, we become wrapped in layers of ego, of conditioning, of fear, and we mistake those layers for our true self. In the ancient wisdom of yoga, This forgetting is called Maya. Not that the world around us is a lie, but that we confuse the temporary for the eternal. We give our hearts completely to things that will change, to money, to status, to the approval of others, and we ignore the one thing that never changes, the eternal, unbreakable soul within us. And so we wander. We search in relationships, in achievements, in pleasures, in distractions. Not because we are foolish, but because the longing is real. The longing for wholeness, for meaning, for connection, that longing is the soul's own voice, calling us home. We simply have not yet learned to recognize it for what it is. And that is where the journey of true awakening begins, not in finding something new, but in remembering something ancient. Most people, when they hear the word karma, think of punishment. They imagine a cosmic scoreboard somewhere, counting their mistakes, waiting to balance the scales. But that is not what karma truly is. Karma, in its deepest and most honest sense, is simply the law of cause and effect. It is the understanding that every thought you think, every word you speak, and every action you take sends a ripple out into the world, and eventually, that ripple returns to you. Not as reward or punishment, but as consequence. As the natural unfolding of what you have set in motion. Yogananda taught that within each of us there are deep impressions. In the ancient language of Sanskrit, these are called vasanas, grooves worn into the fabric of our consciousness through repeated thought, repeated emotion, repeated action. Think of it like a river that has been flowing in the same channel for a very long time. The water does not choose that path because it is the best path. It flows there simply because that is the groove that already exists. And our lives very often work in exactly the same way. We repeat the same patterns, the same arguments, the same self-doubt, the same kind of relationships, not because we want to, but because the groove is already there, deep and familiar and comfortable, even when it causes us pain. This is why so many people feel stuck. It is not a lack of willpower. It is the weight of accumulated inner patterns pulling them back toward what is known. But here is the truth that changes everything: a groove can be changed. A river can be redirected. The patterns that have governed your life until now are not permanent. They are not your destiny. They are simply what has been most practiced. And with the right tools, with intention, with awareness, with the sacred power of mantra, you can begin, gently and consistently, to carve a new and deeper channel in the direction of your highest life. Before we come to the mantras themselves, let us pause for a moment. Let us sit quietly with a question that many people are afraid to ask themselves honestly. Is your soul trying to tell you something right now? Because very often, long before we are ready to make a change, life begins sending us signals. Quiet at first, then louder, then impossible to ignore. And learning to recognize those signals is itself the beginning of awakening. The first sign is an unexplained sadness. Not grief tied to a specific loss, but a low, persistent ache that follows you even on good days. Even when things are going reasonably well, there is a melancholy beneath the surface that you cannot quite shake. This is the soul's longing for its source, a depth of connection that ordinary life simply cannot provide. The second sign is repetition. The same kinds of people showing up and causing the same kinds of pain. The same conflicts arising in different relationships. The same failures wearing different faces. When life keeps repeating itself, it is not bad luck. It is an invitation to look inward rather than outward for the answer. The third sign is restlessness. An inability to be still, even when everything around you is calm. A mind that races even when there is nothing urgent to think about. A heart that feels unsettled even in quiet moments. This restlessness is the soul's hunger, not for more experiences, but for a deeper kind of stillness it has not yet found. The fourth sign is the loss of meaning. Things that once brought you joy no longer move you. Success feels hollow the moment you achieve it. This is not failure, this is often the doorway to a far more authentic life. And the fifth sign is simply a longing. A deep, inarticulate reaching towards something greater, something real, something you cannot name but can always feel. If any of this sounds familiar, you are exactly where you need to be. The word mantra comes from two ancient Sanskrit roots. Man, meaning mind, and Tra, meaning to protect or to liberate. A mantra, therefore, is not merely a word or a phrase. It is a living vibration. It is a tool designed to free the mind from its own limitations, to dissolve the grooves of old patterns, and to realign the soul with its truest and highest nature. When you chant a mantra with sincerity, not just with your lips, but with the full attention of your heart, you are doing something profound. You are consciously choosing a new frequency. You are speaking to the deepest part of yourself in a language it has always understood. The first mantra is Om. Before there was a world, before there was a sky or a sea or a single living thing, there was vibration. And that vibration is Om. Yogananda described Om as the cosmic sound that underlies all of creation. When you chant Om with awareness, you are not simply making a sound. You are tuning yourself to the very frequency of existence. Sit quietly, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and on your exhale, allow the sound to rise naturally, Om, feeling it vibrate first in your heart, then rising through your throat, then dissolving at the crown of your head. Even one conscious breath with Om can bring a moment of absolute stillness. The second mantra is Soham, meaning I am that. What makes this mantra extraordinary is that it is already happening inside you. Right now, as you breathe in, your breath whispers So. As you breathe out, it whispers Hum. You have been chanting this mantra with every single breath of your life, without ever knowing it. It is the universe's quiet reminder that you are not separate from the divine. You never were. Soham is the antidote to the deepest human pain, the pain of feeling alone and disconnected. When anxiety rises, simply close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let each inhale carry the word So and each exhale carry the word Hum. 10 breaths. That is all it takes to begin returning to yourself. The third mantra is Om Namah Shivaya, which means I bow to the sacred consciousness that lives within all things, and within me. This is one of the most ancient and beloved mantras in all of the yogic tradition, and its power lies in the act of surrender. Not surrender as weakness, but surrender as the highest form of trust. The ego spends every moment trying to control, to defend, to hold on. Om Namah Shivaya is the soul's decision to release that grip, to say to the universe, quietly and with full sincerity, I trust you. I let go. Whatever is meant for me will find me. Chant it 108 times with a mala, or simply repeat it gently before you sleep, and let each repetition be a small, courageous act of faith. The fourth mantra is Tattvam Asi, meaning Thou art that. These 3 words, drawn from one of the oldest scriptures of India, carry perhaps the most radical truth ever spoken. You, in your deepest nature, are the divine itself. Not a fragment of it. Not a distant reflection of it. You are it. Yogananda spent his entire life teaching this one truth in 1,000 different ways. The God we search for in temples and mountains and sacred books has always been living inside us, waiting, patiently and lovingly, for us to turn our gaze inward. Each morning, look into your own eyes in the mirror and whisper these words, Tattvam Asi. Not with arrogance, but with a quiet, reverential awe at the mystery of what you truly are. The fifth and final mantra is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. This mantra asks us to do the most difficult and most beautiful thing of all, to love beyond ourselves. To include in our care not just our family, not just our people, but every living being, including those who have hurt us. Yogananda was very clear that the contracted heart, the heart that draws a tight circle around only its own, is the source of so much human suffering. This mantra gently, persistently, lovingly expands that circle. Chant it at the end of your meditation. Send it outward like a wave of light, first to those you love, then to strangers, then to those who have caused you pain, then to all beings everywhere. And notice, with wonder, how something inside you quietly opens. We come now to the place where all of this wisdom gathers into one simple, luminous truth. And it is this: your destiny is not fixed. It was never fixed. Destiny is not a sentence handed down by fate, not a ceiling placed above you by circumstance or by the mistakes of your past. Destiny is a conversation, an ongoing, living, breathing conversation between who you have been and who you are consciously choosing to become. And every moment, every breath, every sincere repetition of a sacred mantra is a new word spoken in that conversation. A new step taken in the direction of the life your soul already knows is possible. Yogananda often told his students that the spiritual path is not about escaping life. It is about meeting life at a deeper level. It is about developing what he beautifully called an even mind, a mind that can stand in the middle of chaos and remain rooted in peace. Not because it is unaffected by the world, but because it has found something within itself that is stronger than any storm. That is what these mantras cultivate. Not perfection. Not the absence of difficulty. But a quality of inner steadiness that transforms the way you experience everything: your relationships, your work, your losses, your longing. Remember Arjun, the man we met at the very beginning of our journey today. He never found a magic answer. Life did not suddenly become easy or painless. What changed was something far more profound than his circumstances. He changed. He began to sit in silence each morning. He began to chant with sincerity. He began to listen, truly listen, to the quiet voice that had always lived inside him, the voice that had always known the way home. And one ordinary morning, he woke up and noticed that the heaviness was gone. Not because his problems had disappeared, but because he had become more peaceful than his problems. He had found the still, unshakable center within himself that no circumstance could touch. That is the gift that lives inside these 5 mantras. Not a perfect life, but a peaceful heart. And from a peaceful heart, from that deep, centered, luminous place within you, everything else begins to change. Your thoughts change. Your words change. The energy you carry into every room, into every relationship, into every moment of your day, it changes. And as that inner world changes, the outer world has no choice but to reflect something new back to you. That is not mysticism. That is simply the law of cause and effect, working at the most beautiful and intimate level imaginable. So let this be your beginning. Not a resolution made with willpower alone, but a return, a gentle, courageous, wholehearted return to the truth of who you have always been, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the forgetting. You were not born to be small. You were not born to be lost. You were born to remember. And the path of that remembering begins not somewhere out there in the world, but right here, right now, in the sacred and infinite space within you. And so, dear friend, we arrive at the end of this journey together. But in truth, this is not an ending at all. It is a beginning. Because the moment a seed of wisdom is planted in a sincere heart, something begins to grow, quietly, invisibly, but with an unstoppable and beautiful certainty. The mantras we have explored today are not mine to give you. They belong to the eternal tradition of truth that has been flowing through the hearts of seekers for thousands of years. I have only held a small lamp so that you could see them a little more clearly. What you do with that light, that is entirely, beautifully, yours. Before you go, I want to leave you with one quiet question to carry with you into your day. Sit with it gently. Do not rush to answer it. Simply let it live in you. If you truly believed, not as a concept, but as a living, breathing reality, that the divine was not somewhere far away, but right here, inside you, in this very breath, in this very moment, how would you treat yourself differently? How would you speak to yourself? How would you begin tomorrow morning? Now, if something in this video touched you, moved you, or reminded you of something your soul already knew, I warmly invite you to share it. Share it with a friend who is going through a difficult time. Share it with someone who is searching, even if they do not yet know what they are searching for. Your single act of sharing could be the turning point in someone else's life. And if this kind of wisdom speaks to your heart, please subscribe and press the bell, so that these conversations find their way to you each time we gather here together. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, which of these 5 mantras felt most alive to you? Which one did you feel not just in your mind, but somewhere deeper? Write it in the comments and share why it moved you. Your words may become the light that guides another seeker who is reading below. And I have one more question for you. What would you like to explore together next? What topic, what teaching, what question is living in your heart right now that you would love for us to sit with together in our next video? Write it in the comments. I read every single one, and your suggestions truly shape what we create here. This channel is not mine alone, it belongs to all of us who are walking this path together. Thank you, from the deepest place within me, for being here. For giving your time, your attention, and your open heart to this conversation. It is a privilege I do not take lightly. Until we meet again. Jai Gurudev.